Hello, good morning. This is JC de Guzman. I am now recording and giving you my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and recommendations for these 10 stocks this morning. And we have Globe, PLDT, GSMI, Pure Gold, MRC, ICT, Maxis, RLC, Green, and X. Okay, so we will begin with Globe. So Globe is currently trading at 1,947 pesos per share. Immediate support is near 1763. We can say that it's 1764 if we will round it off. And immediate resistance is near 2000 pesos per share. So the current price is closer to its immediate resistance than to its immediate support. So consider that, especially you, new entrants, consider that when you calculate your reward to risk ratio. Okay? So this candlestick is already moving above its volume weighted average price of 1000. Let me minimize this one. It's 1920.33. So it's definitely above its VWAP. Although I'm seeing a perfect bearish alignment among its three SMAs, the last candlestick of Globe is already moving above its 10-day and 50-day SMA. And therefore, on the daily chart, Globe is bullish from the in the short term and intermediate or uh, yeah, some short term to the intermediate term, but bearish in the long term on the daily chart. Nonetheless, volume is already uh, relatively bullish as it's already close to its 10-day volume average. Not to mention that we are not yet done with the first half of trading. MACD continue also is also crossed it. It has crossed above the signal line. So what are those four criteria that we're looking at? Green candlestick, last price should be above the VWAP, volume should be at least higher than the 50% of the 10-day volume average, and the most traded and most voluminous range should be closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. For the trade and volume distribution charts, I suggest that you post a request inside our private clients forum so I can give you an updated one. Now, let me just show you this one that this directional movement index. This is the first time that I'm going to tell you about this one, so I just want to share this with you. Uh, this is one of the indicators that I also use to determine the strength of the momentum, strength of the current direction, not necessarily momentum, because there are some stocks that are not trading with momentum. So with this, DMI or directional movement index, I would say that since the positive DMI, the green line is moving above the negative DMI. The negative DMI is the red one, by the way, and the ADX or the ADX line is 26 26 points or 26%. So I would say that this upward momentum, there's momentum and it's an upward momentum for Globe, is directionally, categorically, directionally strong. Okay, the positive DMI is above the negative DMI, and the ADX is higher than 25 points or 25%. Okay, so it's a strong upward momentum. So that's a confirmation of a strong upward momentum. Anyhow, even if we're not going to check on the DMI's histogram, knowing that the SMA, knowing that the MACD is moving above the signal line and the price is higher than the 10 SMA, and knowing that we already have 3 out of 4 criteria present, and I think we have all of our present, we already have two confirmations of the bullish uh, trajectory of Globe in the short term specifically. So with this, I think it's more likely for the ascent in price of Globe to continue. Let's just watch out for the resistance at 2,000 pesos. Let's see if there will be still bullish. We will still see a bullish volume once the price draws much closer near to the 2,000 level. Okay, so I'm bullish on Globe, and if you have this stock, let's say you bought the stock near the support at 1,763, I suggest that you just be loyal to your trailing stop loss. And if you don't have Globe, although it's bullish in all fronts, it's bullish in the short term in all fronts, I still suggest that you calculate your reward to risk ratio. If you are happy with this uh, reward to risk ratio that you will get relative to the current position of the stock and its immediate support and resistance levels, if you're willing to take that risk, because obviously we have a thicker potential risk than the potential reward at this time relative to the current position of the price of Globe, and relative as well to to the position of its immediate support and resistance levels. So if you're really a high risk trader and you would like to risk it, despite what you see on your reward to risk ratio, I would suggest that you do it cautiously. Just do a test buy. Okay, do a test buy. Again, within the range that got the most traded and most voluminous range, not at any price. Okay, next stock in the list we have PLDT. PLDT is currently trading at 1,253. Okay, 1,253. Let me delete this line here. Let's plot this one here. Okay. Okay, let's plot another intermediate. Right. So PLDT's major support is at 1027. Okay. It seems that it already found its psychological bottom last February 2019 at 1000 at the 1028 level or near that level, while the major resistance is near 1389. This one here. So these two lines here that I plotted, the ones in between those major support and resistance levels are the midterm midterm supports or midterm support or resistance levels, depending on whether you're looking from top to bottom or from the bottom going to the top. Okay, so PLDT just broke above its midterm resistance near 1,333 or 1,232 yesterday, but those attempts were already visible. There have been already those attempts to break out above the immediate or the midterm resistance level near 1,232 since April 22, 2019. And I think PLDT is trying to be consistent in trying to increase the distance above that midterm resistance at 1232. What PLDT needs at this time for for it to increase the likelihood of continuing its ascent above this midterm resistance towards the major resistance at 1389 is a bullish volume, preferably higher than the 50% of the 10-day volume average of PLDT. For one, the price is already moving above the 10 SMA, but still moving below the 200 SMA. So the alignment of the SMAs of PLDT is similar to the alignment of the SMAs of Globe. Okay, well, now let's take a look at the chart of the MACD. So MACD already bent upward, increasing the gap above the signal line. So that's a bullish signal from the MACD's histogram. So the 10 SMA is above the price is above the 10 SMA, MACD is above the signal line. You know the drill. That's the 10 SMA and MACD combo. So it's already true. It's a green candlestick. Let's take a look at our four rule criteria. Green candlestick. It's also moving above its VWAP of 1244.67. Volume, on the other hand, take a look at the volume. It's below the 50% of the 10-day volume average of PLDT. So in this case, I'm not fully convinced. Based on our four rule criteria, I'm not fully convinced that this ascent in price of PLDT is sustainable. above the midterm resistance at the 1232 level. Why? Because of the lack of bullish support from the volume. Okay? And besides, the ADX on the DMI histogram is only at 14.47 points. It's a weak, meaning to say it's a weak, very weak upward direction for PLDT. So I'm not completely bullish. Maybe I'm neutral to bullish, but there's still that word neutral in my overall sentiment for PLDT. So let's say you bought PLDT near 1100 or 1027. Make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is so that you're not clueless on what to do should PLDT decide to go back below the midterm resistance below 1232. If you don't have PLDT just yet, please don't enter a new position just yet. Wait for the appearance of our four role criteria. All four must be present, not just two, not just three, definitely not just one. Okay, there you go. Uh, After PLDT, we have GSMI. So yesterday, GSMI appeared in our top gainers list. So let's see the immediate support and resistance levels of this stock. Okay, let's see. All right, so I will be plotting an up Fibonacci. So this is the swing low and this is our swing high. Okay, and then we're going to reverse this Fibonacci so we can see the 61.8% extension on top. And then we will zoom in the chart so that the chart can be draggable, so that it can be dragged to the bottom. So here is our psychological resistance for GSMI. It's at 39.5. That's in confluence with the 61.8% Fibonacci up Fibonacci extension to be precise. Okay? So current price, remember that one, 39.5. So now, the current price of GSMI is at 35.3. Volume is looking good as it's already higher than the 50% of GSMI's 10-day volume average. MACD is also still moving above the signal line. Just support, by the way, is at 30.3. Okay, just a fair warning. RSI is already touching its classical overbought level. Okay, classical overbought level. So do two things I advise. It's either you watch GSMI closely, only if you have it, of course. Monitor it closely because at any moment from now, profit taking can be the dominant sentiment. Okay, at any moment from now, those who have GSMI, especially those who bought below 30.3, may have may think of doing a massive selling. Okay, to lock in their profits, to rake in their profits, or just stay on top of your trailing stop loss. Just sell once your trailing stop loss is hit. Okay, mind you, just mind you, the upward momentum is still not that strong because the ADX is still just moving at 20.15% or 20.4 15 points. So for me, for this ascent in price to be very sustainable, we prefer to see I prefer to see volume to remain consistent at showing as a volume above its not just above the 50%, but if possible somewhat equal or if not higher than its 10-day volume average. Okay, so the chart of GSMI is looking good. It's bullish not just in the short term but also in the long term time periods. I am seeing a perfect bullish alignment among its three SMAs. Okay, so if you have a GSMI, do follow your trailing stop loss. If you don't have it, or if you would like to know if it's logical to do a top up, yes, it is logical to do a top up. just in case the price declines right after doing a top up. Make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is positioned, and do not forget to do an upward adjustment every time the price registers a price higher than the previous price. Okay, how previous is previous could be 1 second ago. Okay, all right. So now, if you don't have GSMI and you would like to know if it's logical to enter a new position, at the moment, according to our signals, it is logical to enter a new position, but don't do it at any price. Make sure that you do it within the most traded and most voluminous range. We have the private clients forum for you to request for my latest trade and volume distribution analysis. All right. Take note of the psychological resistance that I showed you a while back. Next, we have pure gold. Pure gold is currently trading at 44.10 immediate support. Let me adjust this. Immediate support is positioned near 41.9. We can say that's 42. Immediate resistance, major resistance is near 49.8. So the current price of pure gold is much closer to the immediate support than the immediate resistance, and that also means a better potential reward than the potential risk in as far as the position of the current price is concerned relative to the position of its immediate support and resistance levels. Okay, the current volume is still bearish. So despite the appearance of a red candlestick as of the time of analyzing this stock, volume is still below the 50% of its 10-day volume average, meaning to say we see a red candlestick. Yes, that's obvious. But there's no strong appetite for the traders of pure gold to do a massive selling. So there's a weak appetite to sell. How did I know? Because if there were a strong appetite to sell, then we should be seeing a volume that's definitely higher than its 50% of its 10-day volume average. But there's no appetite to do that because since there's only a flimsy or a slim volume on the volume histogram of pure gold. Okay, mind you, I'm seeing a perfect bearish alignment on the three SMAs of pure gold on the daily chart. It's bullish in the short term, categorically speaking, but it is bearish in the by the way, it's not yet a perfect bearish alignment. If it were a perfect bearish alignment, the 200 SMA should be hovering the 50-day SMA. So in other words, pure gold is bullish in the short term but bearish in the uh, medium to long-term scale. Let's take a look at the histogram of MACD. MACD already registered a bullish crossover above the signal line. Nonetheless, the upward momentum is still very weak. I think the ball is still inside the court of the bears. The negative DMI is still hovering the positive DMI. So the upward momentum that happened or that started in May 2 is still on the weak spot. Okay, it's still weak, relatively weak. So my overall sentiment on pure gold is I'm still bearish on pure gold in the short term, despite the quote unquote bullish signal or its bullish position above the 10 SMA. So I'm bearish on pure gold in the short term. Okay. Also in the long term, I'm bearish on pure gold. So if you have pure gold, let's say you bought pure gold near the 41, 42 level, maybe 40 to 42, and then pure gold hit 49.80 or about 50 pesos per share last April 10. I hope by now you have already locked in some of your profits. Okay, I do hope you already locked in some profits. Okay, now if you bought pure gold near 42 pesos, let's say you bought that dip last when? Last April 30. Please stay on top of your trailing stop loss. Okay? Do not forget to do an upward adjustment every time the price registers a price higher than the previous one. And if you don't have pure gold, don't enter a new position just yet. Wait for the appearance of our four rule criteria. Okay? Four rule criteria. Okay, next stock in the list we have MRC. MRC is currently trading at 0.365. It's it's below the VWAP of 0.368, unfortunately. Nonetheless, volume is already equal, if not a little bit higher than the 50% of its 10-day volume average. The last candlestick is already moving above the 10 SMA. Unfortunately, I am still seeing a perfect bearish alignment among its 3 SMAs. The longer term ones are hovering the shorter term moving averages. Support is near 0.328. Resistance is near 0.408. It appears like there's an even reward to risk ratio. That's my estimate. Nonetheless, MACD is moving above the signal line. And on the DMI, the positive DMI hovers the negative DMI, and the ADX is at 37.83, meaning to say there's a strong upward momentum on MRC. And I think that that upward momentum, the strength of that upward momentum started in April 26. Okay, so there you go. There you go. I'm bullish on MRC in the short term. I think it's okay to continue trading MRC if you caught this stock near 0.328. Just make sure that you know where your trailing stop loss is, and you don't forget to just don't be forgetful when it comes to doing an upward adjustment on your trailing stop loss. Okay? Bear with that inconvenience of doing the manual calculation until our brokers employ a stop loss feature. Okay? Bear with the situation. Okay. So if you don't have MRC, make sure that you do a test buy within the most traded and most voluminous range. And where will you find the latest trade and volume distribution analysis? Of course, you can get that from me if you will ask inside our private clients forum. Now let's talk about the next stock in the list. We have ICT. ICT is currently trading at 132.10. Support. I can adjust the support level somewhere here. Okay, let me just take a look at this. Support level. Okay, so the main support level is at 120 pesos per share. It's almost close. It's almost in confluence with the 38.2% of the uh, let's check, of the up Fibonacci extension. Okay, and the swing low that I plotted was near 110 or 111, or yeah, what 111, and the swing high that was when the price was at 133.25. Okay, we can actually we can adjust this one. Let me just delete this one and plot a new one. Okay, so let's zoom this in. Okay, there you go. So the support is at 120 pesos per share. Immediate resistance is at 137. If it breaks above 137, the 61.8% up Fibonacci extension, which is the psychological resistance above 137, is at 147.60. Okay, so new entrants, do the basic arithmetic. Calculate your reward to risk ratio. Here's your support, here's your resistance. The price is closer to its immediate resistance than its immediate support. So if you are a new entrant, if you mean to say if it's only now that you are thinking or planning about entering a new position in ICT, calculate your reward to risk ratio. If you're happy with it, make sure that you buy within the most traded and most voluminous range only. Now, despite the appearance of our 4 rule criteria, and even though the price moving above the 10 SMA and MACD is above the signal line, 10 SMA MACD combo, even though that combo is true, you still have a reward to risk ratio to satisfy. And if it meets your happiness level, just like what I said in my seminar last May 4, then do a test buy. Now, if the 10 SMA MACD combo is true, the 4 rule criteria has been satisfied or have been satisfied, and you're not happy with your reward to risk ratio, then you should postpone the idea of entering a new position on ICT. Okay, so nonetheless, the upward momentum of ICT weakened. It has weakened, brought about by the descent in price last May 6 when it hit its head at 137 pesos per share. And I think it's now trying to ICT is making another attempt to see if it can break above 137. Okay. Nonetheless, the upward momentum is still not that high, even though the positive DMI is still above the negative DMI. Okay. Upward momentum is not that strong. So what does it tell you if you have ICT? Let's say you bought ICT somewhere here, somewhere below 120. So if that's the case, I would suggest that you should consider locking in some profits near 137. Maybe a few tranches, maybe half of your shares. Okay. Now, if you don't have ICT, what does the DMI histogram tell you? It tells you to be cautious. Don't make an abrupt decision to do a test buy, because even though we're seeing a green candlestick, the upward momentum is still not relatively strong. Okay. Next stock in the list we have Maxis. Maxis. Maxis is currently trading today at 15.20. Support is at 13.9. Resistance is at, let's adjust this one. Resistance is at 15.9. Okay. Um, let's adjust this one as well. There you go. Major support is at 11.84, not this one in the middle. This is only a midterm support, a precursor to 11.4. It can also be a precursor to the immediate resistance at 15.90, depending on whether you're looking from top to bottom or from the bottom going to the top. Okay. I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment among the three SMAs of Maxis on the daily chart. The 10, fortunately, the last candlestick is still moving above the 10 SMA and also above its VWAP. Okay, so we already have the two criteria present. However, volume is not, it's below 50% of the 10-day volume average. So not all four criteria are present. Not all four criteria are present. Okay. And notice this behavior of RSI. Every time RSI hits the classical overbought level, the upward momentum weakens. The RSI registers as a downward slope. Yes, every time it hits the psychological overbought, the classical overbought level. So if you have had maxes lower than 13 pesos, 13.84, or maybe even lower than 11.84, or maybe near 9.46, you should have considered locking in your profits when it hit the resistance at 15.9. Okay, when it dipped yesterday. Okay, and even though the upward momentum or the positive DMI is above the negative DMI, and even if it still tell us that there's a strong upward momentum, the positive DMI is already moving in a downtrend direction. It's poised to register a death cross. It's poised to register to cross below the negative DMI. But let's see if this afternoon, if Maxis will get a bullish volume, mean to say a volume above its 50 above the 50% of its 10-day volume average. Let's see. Let's be in a wait and see mode. But in the short term, I'm bullish on Maxis. If you bought below those levels that I mentioned a while back, you should consider locking in some profits near 15.90 or anything anywhere above 15 pesos per share. Okay, if you are a new entrant, I don't think you have an attractive reward to risk ratio, but it's up to your risk level. It may not be an attractive reward to risk ratio for me right now, but it could be a very attractive reward to risk ratio to your eyes. And that only means we have our own DNAs when it comes to trading, the risk appetite and investment horizon. Okay, so there you go for Maxis. Let's take a look at RLC. RLC is currently trading at 23.65, support is at 22.8, resistance is at 24.78. It's now still closer to its immediate support than its immediate resistance. It's bullish in the long term on the daily chart, but still bearish in the short to medium term. Why? It's still moving below its 10 SMA and 50 SMA. The price is, it's a green candlestick, obviously, as you can see, but the VWAP is at 23.67, meaning to say RLC is moving below its VWAP. Therefore, the 4 rule criteria is no longer perfect. Besides, volume is obviously less than 50% of its 10-day volume average. The 10-day volume average is somewhere, where is it? Somewhere here. Look at the pointer of the mouse. Besides, besides, uh, sideways. Yes, RLC has been in the sideways trend. It's been in a range direction. When we say it's in a range, it's in a sideways move direction. It's consolidating. It's just moving up and down between the immediate support and resistance levels. It's not really registering a trend. It's not trending. It's only ranging. Okay? How did I know? DMI, the ADX. The ADX has been below 25 points. It has been below 25 points for more than 30 trading days. Okay, it's just trading the range. And even if you don't see the DMI, it's quite obvious here. When you know where your support and resistance levels are, just take a look at the chart. Has it just been dribbling up and down between those two levels for more than 30 days? If it has been just doing that, it's ranging. It's not trending. Okay. As a trader, my personal in my personal trading style, I don't like the range trading actually. I only like to trade those trending stocks. I don't like trading the range because when you do the trade the range strategy, the only attractive position for me when it comes to the trade the range strategy is to wait near support, hoping that it will rebound from that support level, and then I sell on the immediate resistance. That's the boring strategy, or that's the boring actions needed when you do the trade the range strategy. Okay, so on RLC, I'm not bullish on RLC. It's ranging, not trending, like what I've said a while back. It's up to you. It's up to if you're interested to trade RLC, but for me, no, not yet. Maybe I would be interested to trade the name once it breaks out above 24.8. Yeah, once it breaks out above 24.8, or once it breaks down below 22.8. Of course, when it breaks down below 22.8, I would monitor it if it will rebound near 20.10. Okay, that's my sentiment for RLC. Next, we have green. Green is currently trading at 2.59, support is at 2.25, resistance is at 2.90. It looks like it's at the midpoint between those two levels, so reward to risk ratio, guys. Mark this bearish. It has been this way since April 26. Besides, our DMI histogram confirms that the bearish sentiment as well. The negative DMI has been moving below or above the positive DMI since April 25. Okay. Nonetheless, the downward momentum is relatively not that strong because we can still see some uh, hiccups, or meaning to say some short-term recoveries, or what they call on that, false rebound. Okay, false rebounds. So in the short term, I am bearish on green. Okay, I am bearish on green, and even in the long term, I'm still bearish on green. Um, if you have green, you should have already. Let's say you bought green before the beginning of this year. If you bought green last year or maybe in January, you should have locked in your profits near 3.5, between 3.5 and 2.9. Now, if you bought green, if let's say you caught that psychological or that historical support near 2.25, you should have already locked in profits near 2.9. Especially when you got a clue that it was having a hard time trying to break above the 2.9 level. Where are the clues? Oh, you got your clues. Last April 16, 17, 22, 23. You got those four clues that it was having a hard time breaking above that level. So you should have already locked in profits above between 2.8 to 2.9. Yes? So be observant. Be be aware of those signs. And during those days, uh, that was the day on April 24. That was the day when the negative DMI crossed above the positive DMI, meaning to say bears took over. They have taken over last April 24. Okay, so I am bearish on green. Okay, X surpass. So surpass closed. Today it's trading at 1.08. It's at the brink of breaking below its support at 1.05. Resistance is at 1.3. Volume, meh. Volume is. It seems that traders of surpass are not interested on the name as of yet. MACD is bearish. The bears have taken over. Negative DMIs have the positive DMI. Although the downtrend momentum is not that strong, meaning to say it's still organically moving downward, a few fluctuations at a time, not an erratic downward movement. But X is more likely to break down below 1.05 if volume won't pick back up. Okay, I'm bearish on surpass in the short term to long term. There is a perfect bearish alignment among its three SMAs. Okay, no buying signals just yet. No buy signals just yet. The 10 SMA MACD combo is false. The forward criteria are not all present. So watch the price near 1.05 to 1. Once you see the forward criteria appearing, then do a test buy. Not at any price, but within the range that got the most volume and the biggest number of trades. If you don't know how to do your own trade volume distribution analysis, I'll come to the rescue. Just post a request inside our private clients forum. So I am bearish on surpass. So there you go for that, for my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and trade setups or recommendations for these 10 stocks that I've discussed this morning. I'll be discussing 10 more stocks this afternoon by the end of the trading day. So I do hope this will help you. Uh, this will I do hope this video will help you make a data-driven, an independent, and a profitable trade decision this afternoon while recess. Thank you, and have a good afternoon. Have a profitable day.